Hey, so this is kind of a part two to the video I made on the Huddersfield bullying case. And I feel it necessary to make a part two because the video's got a lot more views than I expected. Almost 2,000 so far in just a day. So I wasn't anticipating that. But the case has got a lot of attention generally, so maybe that's the reason why. I want to just address a few of the comments that were made on my video. Now, unfortunately, when I have the split screen, I can't see the comments name by name. So I'm just going to have to recall them because the comments aren't coming up as I've got the split screen, which is irritating. But I'm going to address the sort of things that have been said. And if you made the comments, you'll know, I'm talking about you, I'm addressing you. So I hope the people who were criticizing me watch this video as well, because I want to clarify my position here. Firstly, I make no apology for being angry in that video. It's true, I was very angry, as were a lot of people. Bullying makes me angry. It always has. So I'm totally upfront about that. I'm totally candid about that. Um, I was not really surprised when I knew that there was a lot of comments. I knew that some of them would be critical. And there were people that were blatantly trying to make excuses for this. Now, one guy actually called me an extremist because I advocated a hardline approach. But he was the one who was trivializing bullying. Now, if you think that bullying is trivial, consider this. In another case, there was a young boy, only 9 years old, in Birmingham, young white boy. He was tormented for months on end by an Asian gang, older boys. The young lad was called Aaron Dugmore. Now, the parents apparently complained to the school. Nothing was done. In fact, the attitude of the head teacher was that they chose the school and if they don't like it, they should go somewhere else, which is an appalling attitude. And that young boy committed suicide. He was taken to the Birmingham Children's Hospital, but doctors were unable to revive him and he died the following day from suspected cardiac arrest. Now, that was racist bullying. The background is there, um, and it's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. Um, so anti-white racism definitely exists as well. There's been the critical comments have come from either the far right types who don't, who want to make excuses for it, and they've come out with the most nonsense whataboutery, like, oh, refugee committed fraud on a GCSE exam, so this is okay, or they talk about Pakistani rapists or whatever. Um, it's just plain whataboutery. That's what it is. I happen to be consistent. I happen to believe that bullying across the board is wrong. And I've no respect for people who lack any level of integrity. They just don't have the consistency where they will condemn one thing but not another. I have always been consistent. If I think something's wrong, I think it's wrong across the board. Simple as that. Now, as to my hardline approach, I mentioned naming and shaming. I want to be clear about this. By naming and shaming, I'm saying that it is right. I think that the culprit should be named. Now, what is the difference between naming a 16-year-old and naming a 25-year-old? If a 25-year-old commits an offence, they're named, and you don't talk about vigilantism in those cases. I don't like vigilantism, and I don't want to see vigilantism against the boy's family. But I do think that there needs to be an approach that isn't currently taken. So when I talk about a scared straight approach, I'm not talking about, a group of guys coming with baseball bats and beating the bully up. I'm talking about someone just showing him what it is like. You might call that vigilantism, I call it justice. I say it is about time we take a different approach. And I challenge you people who have criticised me, you come up with an alternative. Because clearly the approach that is being used now is not working. So it's all very well to criticise me and say I'm too hard line, but I'd like to know what your answer is. All you've done is criticise me, you have no answer. So I'd like to hear it, if you can bother to come up with something. Because as it stands, the approach of softly, softly just isn't working. Now, as it transpires, there has been some more information about this case. The attacker claims it wasn't racially motivated. and that there'd been a previous altercation. What does that mean? What does previous altercation mean? It can mean anything. Um, Now, I was severely bullied at school, and I know that bullies find any excuse. I remember there was a group of guys that gave me a really rough time because of my Northern Irish accent. They pushed me around, and one day I snapped. I just snapped because this was day in and day out. Now, in the bully's language, me snapping would be an altercation. That's what really angers me about people who try to make an equilibrium between bully and victim. Oh, it's just two boys having an argument. Like someone on my thread actually said, "Oh, this is just what happens in schools every day across the country." Shame on you. I, I can't find your name now because I can't do the split screens where I can read the comments directly, but you know who you are, and you're trying to make an equilibrium. There isn't an equilibrium. I'm not going to apologize for getting angry about bullying. I would say, what is wrong with you that you don't? Are you robots? Are you completely cold blooded? Do you have no sort of human sentiment? Of course, it's important to get as much information as possible, but consider this. This was filmed, right? Who was it filmed by? Consider the group of kids that came over. Now, were they coming over out of sympathy for the victim? This did not look like an equal situation, and if you think it did, we clearly didn't see the same video. So I feel pretty saddened, to be honest, and frustrated that there are people already going out of their way to try to make excuses for this. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're part of the problem. Now, I am talking about scared straight. I'm talking about a hardline approach. Yes, I am. I'm not talking for the bully to be publicly decapitated, and I didn't say anything of that kind in the video. I said there needs to be tough justice. I didn't say that there need, well, maybe I did. Okay, I concede maybe I did. I was angry. But the principle of my beliefs were there, and the principle is that there needs to be a harder approach than there currently is. I'm not talking for someone to be publicly flogged, but I am talking for a more hardline approach. As to the issue about having to wear a sign, why not? Why not? Why not shame someone into reforming? Because your approach, okay, if you're of the liberal school of thought, oh, they need to be understood, they need a little tap on the wrist. That to me is extreme because it's doing absolutely nothing. So, you know what does irritate me, I must admit, when I look at comments online? People who criticize others in a video, but then you look at their channel and they've got absolutely no content. So if you're going to criticize me, upload a video, show your face, okay? You don't have to agree with me. You can say that my ideas are completely wrong, but show your face, okay? Don't criticize someone and then have no answers of your own. You might not like my approach, and that's fine, that's your right, but at least offer an alternative, right? Offer an alternative. So one of the first comments was, oh, your approach is medieval. Is it? Am I talking for public hanging? Am I talking for public decapitation? Of course not. I'm just saying that there needs to be a much harder approach than there currently is. So I feel that my views were distorted a bit by certain people. And I think it's two kinds of people. I think it's far right types who can't bring themselves to just criticize the fact that the victim here was a Syrian boy, and also from neoliberal types who think that it's an equilibrium, that don't understand bullying, people who don't actually have a comprehension of this subject, and they think it's trivial, or they think that the answer to it is that it's an equal thing and oh, just make them shake hands and that's it. You don't understand it. You don't understand how bullies, wear their victims down. Now, I don't want to be too negative. I've got 45 likes to 18 dislikes. Those 18 dislikes, offer me an alternative. Instead of just criticizing me, offer an alternative.